Welcome back to part 2 of module 6, lesson 1, which deals with writing and solving one-step equations. We left off at example 2, which says x minus 2 is equal to, x minus 4 is equal to a negative 2. And we're going to treat this just like we do every other equation, and just like we treated the equation in example 1. For this, what we're going to do is ask ourselves the questions. What's the final goal of any equation? To isolate the variable. What's my variable? The variable's x. Who's x's friend? His friend is going to be a 4. And what's 4 doing to x? It's subtracting it. So the inverse operation of minus 4 is add 4 on both sides, just like you see right here. From there, negative 4 plus 4, those are going to zero out. I would encourage you to put a line through those, and that leaves x all by its we will lonesome. And on this side, signs are different. Find the difference, which is 2, with a sign in front of the larger number going in front of your answer, giving you a positive 2 for your final answer. Easy math. Anybody can do this stuff. And now what I want you to do is pause this video and go and work the next problem on your own. And that is going to be negative 7 is equal to c minus 6. Pause the video, work it out on paper, showing me good quality supporting work, please. And now it's my turn. What's the final goal of any equation? It's to isolate the variable. What's your variable? It's c. Who's c's friend? It's 6. And what is 6 doing to c? It's subtracting. So what is the inverse operation of minus 6? It is to add 6. And if I do it on the right, I have to do it on the left. Negative 6 plus 6 zeros each other out. C minus 0 becomes c. And then over here, negative 7 plus 6, signs are different. Find the difference, which is 1. And the sign in front of the larger number goes in front of the answer, making negative 1 your answer. Jump back over here, type in our negative 1, and check, and we get the correct answer. Example 3 deals with doing a one-step multiplication problem. For this one, they give us negative 8 times y is equal to 24. And once again, we're going to work this like we work all the other equations we do. We're going to ask the final goal of an equation is to isolate the variable. The variable in this case is y. Y's friend is negative 8. And what's negative 8 doing to y? It's multiplying. So what's the inverse operation of times negative 8? Well, it's going to be divide negative 8 on both sides. And that is exactly what you see going on here. Now, you don't even have to write this next step right here. You can put a bar right there with a negative 8 under it, and a bar right here with a negative 8 under it. And when you do that, the negative 8 divided by negative 8 becomes 1. I'd encourage you to put a big old fat 1 through these. And then a 1 times y is y. 24 divided by 8, that's going to be 3. And a positive divided by a negative, that's going to be a negative. Check your answer, and the answer checks. Easy math. Now, we're going to reset this one and move on to the next question, which you are going to do on your own. And that's going to be extra example 3. Negative 72 is equal to negative 9 times x. Pause the video and work on this. Alright, the final goal of any equation is to isolate our variable. The variable is x. X's friend is negative 9, and negative 9 is multiplying itself times x. So to isolate this variable, we're going to undo times negative 9, which means we're going to divide negative 9. If I do it on the right, I also have to do it on the left. The negatives divide out. 9 divided by 9 is 1, and 1 times x is going to be x. Over here, your negatives divide out again, and then 72 divided by 9, well, that's going to be 8. So the final answer that we're going to put down is going to be x is equal to a positive 8. Check your answer, and the answer checks. Nothing hard at all about doing these, but I do need to emphasize you have to be showing me good quality supporting work. I know most of y'all can pick these answers out in your head, but if you don't give me the good quality supporting work just like I'm giving you, you will have done them just for fun. All right, we've added, we've subtracted, and we've multiplied. That means that all that's left to do is division. For this one, we have a divided by negative 4 is equal to a negative 9. Final goal of an equation, to isolate your variable. Your variable is a, his friend is negative 4. Negative 4 is dividing a, and we're going to undo divided by negative 4 by multiplying negative 4 on both sides that you see right here. The negative 4's divide each other out, becoming 1. Once again, I would encourage you to put a big old fat 1 through here. 1 times a is a. 9 times 4, that's going to be 36. And a negative times a negative, that's going to be a positive for a positive 36. This is showing your work. This is what I must see. If I don't see that on each and every problem of this type of your homework, yep, you have done it just for fun. And now it's your turn. Pause the video and solve 30 is equal to y divided by negative 6, making sure you give me good high quality supporting work. Did you get the right answer with good supporting work? Let's take a look at what I did. First off, I'm going to say the final goal of an equation, to isolate the variable. The variable is y. Y's friend is negative 6. And negative 6 is dividing y, so the inverse operation of divided by negative 6, that is going to be to multiply negative 6, and if I do it on the right, that means I have to do it on the left as well. Of course, it needs to be in parentheses, and the negative 6 needs to be in the middle or the top. This one here does. If it's not at least in the middle or the top, then I'm going to have to take off points. Remember, you can't put it down here in the bottom where it is in line with that. That is the incorrect place to put it. And give that one back. From here, my negative 6 divided by negative 6 becomes 1, and 1 times y is y. 30 times 6, well, that is going to be 180. A positive times a negative is going to be a negative, giving us a final answer that y is equal to a negative 180. Check, and it checks. Now, of course, once again, that is showing your work. That is what you must see, and if I don't see that on each and every problem of your homework, you will have done it just for, yep, that's right. All right, enough fooling around with those review problems. Let's work on something new. Here we're going to say two numbers with a product 1 are called reciprocals, or multiplicative inverses. Once again, this is a review term here. The inverse property of multiplication, that's a vocab term, can be used to solve equations involving rational number coefficients. Select each card to learn more. So, in words, your definition of this term right here is that the product and a number and its multiplicative inverse equals 1. That's the inverse property of multiplication. Looking at that with numbers, you can say that 7 over 8 times 8 over 7 equals 1. Negative 3 over 2 times negative 2 over 3 equals 1. And then looking at it with variables, a divided by b times b divided by a, that's going to equal 1 as well, as long as your b value and your a value are not zeros. And the reason for this step, of course, is because, remember, you cannot have 0 in the denominator of a fraction, because that means you would have some parts of nothing, and you cannot have some parts of nothing. For example 5, they're finally giving us some juicy problems that are actually worth y'all's time. They say that negative 1 7/8 times x is going to be equal to 4 1/2. And as you recall, whenever we're working with problems like this with mixed numbers, good idea to start off by changing them to improper fractions. But let's see what the textbook says to do. They're going to take the original problem. Of course, you always write the original problem first. If you do not write the original problem, I cannot check your homework, which means that I cannot give you credit for it. From there, what did they do? They did exactly what I said. They made each one of these mixed numbers into improper fractions. 1 7/8 became 15/8. 4 1/2 became 9/2. Then they said to themselves, well, the final goal of an equation, that's going to be to isolate the variable. The variable is x. X's friend is a negative 15/8, and negative 15/8 is multiplying x. So what's the opposite of times negative 15/8? Well, it's going to be to divide by negative 15/8. And dividing by negative 15/8, if you remember, keep, change, flip, that's what they did right here. They kept the first number, they changed division and multiplication, and they took the reciprocal of the second number. You may want to take and go ahead and write in that divided by negative 15/8 on both sides right here before you do this part, but you don't have to, because if you recognize it's just a keep, change, flip problem, then keep, change, shift, flip that puppy and keep right on rocking. These values right here, they're going to divide each other out, becoming 1, and 1 times x is x. Over here, you're going to simplify. They didn't simplify first. They multiplied first, which wasn't very smart of them. You always simplify before you multiply. 8 times 9 is 72. 15 times 2 is 30. Negative times the positive is negative. And now they're going to simplify, which they did a couple things in one fell swoop. They divided the 72 and the 30 by, I'm thinking 4? No, not 4, 2. And when they did by 2, they ended up getting, no, it's going to be by 6. They divided them by 6, so 72 divided by 6 gave them 12. And then 30 divided by 6 gave them 5. And then the negative 12 over 5 became negative 2 2/5 for their final answer. I would have liked to seen the final answer, the step here where they divided top and bottom by 6, which ended up giving them the negative 12 over 5. But either way, the answer is correct. And now it's your turn to solve this incredibly easy problem. 3/4 x equals to negative 9. Keep, change, flip it, and we're going to see what your answers are in just a minute. Make sure you give me good quality supporting work. Alright, my turn again. We have 3/4 times x is equal to negative 9. Your variable is x. X's friend is 3/4, and 3/4 is multiplying itself times x. So the opposite of times 3/4 is going to be to divide 3/4, and dividing 3/4, if we keep, change, flip it, means to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. So I'm going to do times 4 over 3 on the left, and then on the right I'm going to do negative 9 times 4 over 3, making that negative 1 and negative 9 an improper fraction. These divide out, becoming 1. 1 times x is x. And on this side, 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 9 3 times. You multiply that out, 3 times 4 is going to be 12, 1 times 1 is 1, 12 over 1, that's 12, and a negative times a positive, that's going to end up being a negative for our final answer. Jump back over to the textbook again, put in our negative 12, whoops, missed a number there, missed a number again. Now we got the right one, and it checks. Once again, this is showing your work. This is what I must see. If I don't see that on each and every problem, this type of your homework, you will once again have done them just for fun. We're going to end part 2 of this video right now. We'll come back to watch part 3, where we're going to finish up our study of writing and solving one-step equations.